Hello and welcome to Katie B Crafts. I'm Katie B. Thanks so much for joining me. Before we get started, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Let's get into it. I am so excited for this week's project. It happens to be the month of my best friend's birthday. She is an epic human. She works in the film industry. We travel together, weekend getaways, road trips, food. So happy birthday, Leandra. You have been there for me through thick and thin for over 10 years now. Thank you for everything. You're one of my favorite humans. I am so grateful for your friendship. Check out what I made for you. All right, let's get started. I'm pulling together my supplies. Got that tin foil, using cosplay this time. Don't have very much of it, so I gotta make sure that I get every last little blob. Grabbing some of that armature wire. I measure out a couple of pieces. As you know, I'm a huge D&D nerd, so I'm constantly trying to get people to join my games and play with me. A couple years ago, Lee joined a game, and today we are replicating Leandra's very first ever character, whose name was Gwenna the Great, a half-elf paladin. And this is the image or model of Gwenna the Great that Leandra sent me for that campaign. And this image is from Hero Forge. If you are a tabletop gamer and haven't gone to check out Hero Forge and play around and build your characters, you are definitely missing out because it's awesome. So this was her vision of this character. So I'm trying to recreate that today with tinfoil and clay. Faced a couple of hurdles with this project. I haven't really done a standing humanoid figure before, so that was a little intimidating. But that's also one of the reasons why I wanted to do this project. I mean, how am I going to get better if I don't practice? I'm adding clay as a base and then just adjusting that stance to be what I want it to be. One of the other hurdles, I guess I would say, is all of the individual pieces of armor. Making sure they were sized and placed correctly and had the right look. So now I am adding in, I don't know, is this like an official piece of armor that I should know the name of? Because I don't know what this piece of armor would be called, but I call it the diaper. And if you can see here on the back of the model, there's like a little heart on the butt, and that was extremely difficult to cut out without looking ridiculous. But I tried my best. But basically my strategy for this whole project is to roll out thin sheets of clay, cut out the shapes that resemble the pieces of armor, and then place them on the model. Working on the front and back plates here. And just checking it against the model before attaching it. I'm getting a little creative with my blade knife there for a curved cut up at the top. There are a lot of duplicates for this project, one piece for each side. So I would first make the piece. Once I was happy with the shape and everything, then I would cut out another one to match it. One of the things I need to be, or I could be better at doing, is making sure to bake the lower layers of my model before moving on to the more detailed pieces. Because a lot of the details that I add here in the beginning, I actually, because I'm handling the model, I smoosh and they be gone. I lose them. So if I had baked it here, that would have probably been ideal, especially the armor diaper. It's not that I mean, you can still see the different pieces of the armor. It's just I really like the sharp edges immediately after I cut each piece out. And you can even definitely see it, that those sharp edges, because I'm handling the model, smooth and round out. So I should have, at this point, gotten the model ready enough to be baked, and then the next time I could come back in, I wouldn't lose any of those sharp edge details. But now I'm making a bunch of diamond-ish shapes to stack on top of each other to form the knee pad, the kneecap, the knee armor. And I start placing those pieces. And now I'm getting started on some curved pieces for the shoulders. And piece by piece, layer by layer, I just go in, adding each individual piece of armor. I really wanted to get it as close to what her vision of Gwenna was when she originally created it on Hero Forge. And then prepping the big shoulder armor to go on top of them. I should really look up. Are they pauldrons? Are they pauldrons? It really makes a strong silhouette once both of those shoulder pads are on. And now I begin shaping out the head. I do think that the face came out better than other faces that I've done in the past. And I end up with something that looks pretty close to the 3D model that I'm trying to replicate. But I guess all I'll say is I'm on a journey and I'm getting closer, but I am not there yet. I'm just shaping out the chin, adding a lower lip here. And then when I add an upper lip, it ends up looking like a derpy fish. So this is a really great look. Now I'm attempting to make a nose. Little teeny tiny nose. And I put the nose on the face. and use my little tool to connect it. And I'm adding some eyes and eyebrows, doing my best not to overthink it. And I'm adding the gold crown, the gold band on her forehead. Ooh, and the ears. These turned out really nice. I try to make them as similar as possible, but they're definitely sisters and not twins. I did lose the footage of putting the head on the body and making that first bit of hair, the base layer of hair. Sorry about that. But now I'm doing the braids, which is a really fun part because it's just fun, quick, and easy, and it just looks really, really pretty. And I place those braids coming right out of that golden crown right on top of the head and let them flow down in the back. Braid up one more of those pieces. And attach that as well. So each one of those braids I actually had cut in half at an angle and then put those all right above the crown. And now I'm just laying those pieces of hair down, seeing where I want them to fall, and coming back for more details. This is going to be the dagger that sits on her side, and trying to make it as detailed as possible before I place it on the model. And another one of those little details, the little drinking horn. I love this little detail with the, I don't know, what looks like rivets, I guess. And then the little X for the tie. And now we have a drinking horn, yay! And I place that on the opposite side of the dagger. And now for the great sword. Roll out a nice thin piece and start cutting out around a piece of tin foil and armature wire. The sword is too big for the model. It's a great sword for Gwenna the Great, but that's fine. Who's mad at a bigger sword? Nobody. I bring in the Rubik's Cube to help me support the model at this point because I don't want to lose details by leaving them pressed against the table. This is me attempting to avoid sculpting hands. So I just make 2 balls of clay that I press the idea of fingers into. This is the hilt of the sword. And I place it right on the hands and then add the sword blade to the hands as well, and those arm guards. The arm guards are kind of what I use to just bridge the gap between the armature wire of her arms and the armature wire of the sword and hands. Should have added this detail before I put it on the model, but better late than never. Add a little clay to the handle there. and add my pommel. I go ahead and bake that, and here she is, ready for painting. I'm coming in hot here with a pretty rookie mistake. Generally, you would not put a color down for your base coat. You would put a neutral color, but unless you're doing you're going for a specific mood and you really want like a blue undertone. That base coat kind of messed up like the lighter colors I wanted to put on top, so I had to put tons more layers of paint than I would have otherwise to cover the blue. But you live, you learn, and you move on. Adding the first layer of color to the armor here. I got to use all of my metallic paints, my gold, my silvers. And it actually covered really well. So for those, it didn't matter so much about the blue base. It was just mainly the face and the hair that were affected. Painting these sleeves white, and the hands as well. Now that I've got all my base colors down, you'll see I'm starting to come back in for more of the detail work. The shirt itself is kind of bluish on the model, like the Hero Forge original model. Try to color match it as best I can, but I don't quite get there, I think, in the end. Adding those extra colors to the different plates of the kneecaps. These are my favorite, both in terms of the sculpt and in the way they look once they're painted. I just really think it came out really well. Trying to match as many of the teeny tiny details to the model as I can. Working on those shoulder pads. Those were hard to match, and I didn't quite do it in the end, but I think I hit at least like the idea, the image, the echo. It's inspired by the original. It's not a remake. Adding those little rivets in gold, details to all the little accessories. Attempting again to get a color I like for the under armor. Painting on the details for the boots here. The boots were super intricate on the model, and I had tried to recreate that in the sculpt, and it was a mess. So I figured I would just paint those details on. Here you can see Gwenna's starting to come to life, and that always happens for me when I paint the face. That's when the character's personality shows up. Gwenna was a character for our Rise of the Rune Lords Pathfinder campaign, so she was actually one of the heroes of Sandpoint and cleared the goblins out of Thistletop. And once again, the project was blessed Yeah. Thank you, Lynn. Coming in with a brown wash to do the low tones on the hair and making sure to wipe it off really quickly so that I don't get too much brown. But I do, so I go in and lighten up with some white and then some more yellow on top of that so that those braids really pop. We're getting close with those final details. A little bit of tweaking, little reflections here. And now, the base. I had so much fun with this base. I didn't know what I was going to use for a base at first, but I knew I was going to need one. So I just took these little wooden slices, I guess, that I had gotten for a project ages ago and never actually used. Glued them together, painted them up to make them look like stepping stones in a cave or a dungeon or something like that. Going in and adding some details. I wanted it to look like a cool granite rock, marble, something like that. This white paint that I'm adding now is actually like a glitter paint. You can't tell now, but you can kind of see it later. But the white lines end up not being as harsh because the white goes away and is just replaced by the glitter. Very important detail here. This is the part where I'll sing. No, I'm kidding. But I wanted to make sure to personalize it. So, happy freaking Lee Day, everybody. And don't forget to mark your calendars now. Next September, you too could celebrate Lee Day. All right. Extra special, extra details here. Just add in some dirt, grass, a little bit of moss. Really just highlighting that dirty dungeon floor aesthetic. And doing the final gloss. I actually did this before. You can see the unpainted base there. But there we go. Now she's all glossed up and painted, and attaching to the base with some glue that is super. Here we go. And that's it. Thank you all so much for joining me. We have our finished Gwenna the Great right here. She is looking fabulous. I'm loving the base. It came out really nice. I'm going to do some nice close-ups and comparison shots to those Hero Forge images. I got close. The colors are off, but I'm really happy with it. I really love the little, I don't know, I guess it's a drink horn, and the little dagger detail on the side is nice. The butt heart. Leandra, this is for you. If you want it, you know where to find it. I am holding it ransom for a visit. Happy birthday, Lee! Thank you so much for joining me for this video. It has been really fun. If you liked what you saw and you want to see more, please click all the buttons, do all the things. Like, comment, and subscribe. Share this with a friend. Do you have any crafty friends who might be interested? Maybe a nerdy friend who wants their D&D character sculpted. I'm open for commissions. And without further ado, the final looks.